What's up, guys? Welcome to Crypto Cartel. So, on this show, we're going to be talking about the best opportunities in the crypto market. Bitcoin is ripping to all time high, and that means there's going to be a lot of money making opportunities in altcoins. So, yeah, that's what this show is going to be about. Just where's the opportunity, what's going on in the market, and both myself and Alex have been in the crypto market for 5 years. So whether you're a beginner or an expert, I think we're gonna have some good alpha for you guys. So let's get started. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, Alex.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, guys. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. We did talk about Bitcoin last week, and we did talk about specific levels. Both Henry and I were, on par when we were talking about, having that support level at 65,000. And if we broke that, then, our next target was 63, which was the 200 MA, right, on the daily. So one of the interesting things was that if we kind of zoom in here, what happened, right? So we ended up going down to 65,000 on October 23rd. We bumped up. We got, a little bit rejected here. It was looking bearish, but then we came back down with the news of Israel bombing Iran, and then Iran saying, just kidding, like we're not going to do anything about it. So then from there, that was very bullish news on this dip. I wasn't afraid, and I just went ahead and I started shooting my cash into a lot of good projects. So that was a good buying opportunity there. But overall, we were in this flag that was ready to go, and here we are. Our targets currently right now are at 77 to 80,000. And the reason why I have those targets is because I took the price action, right? From the bottom to the top, that pull, and then our direction would be around short term. I would say in the next few weeks, 2 to 3, I would give it to this area, right? So we are looking to make all-time highs. Today, we got about $200 away from making all-time highs. What I'm expecting, for the market to do is probably do a little sell-off, maybe retest and consolidate here around 71 and then continue to the upside, or we can just continue to to rip from here, right? Continue maybe to make a higher high, then retest this higher high here at 73,700, and then continue to the upside, right? But I do want to tell you guys one thing, and one thing that I've been seeing, especially in the stochastics RSI, the MACD, and the RSI. If you take a look at this, the stochastics RSI has just flipped, and on that recent flip, we have made about 10%, which is almost like a $7,000 pump, right? And you know, Bitcoin usually likes to really, really pump when we get up at these levels, right? Around the like 90 to 100 level, right? If you go back, Bitcoin tends to do that a lot, right? So you can go back to these different places, right? If we go back all the way down to January of 2024, this year, right? If you see, stochastics got high up here on the 29th, and we barely did any movement, right? We're at 43. And then from there, we just started, going crazy, and we just did, we went from 43 to 74, right? So keep that in mind. This is very bullish. In my opinion, the next few weeks, the next few months are going to be very, very bullish. But in addition to that, we do want to look at the monthly. And again, this is keeping me, on the edge. The monthly is just turning on the stochastics RSI. The MACD is making a strong green candle, not a light green candle. It's a darker one. And our RSI is continuing to flip. So those are probably the most bullish things I've seen over the last few days. I was uncertain about the daily as of Friday, but in all honesty, this is looking to pump very, very hard with some pullback. So in my opinion, it's going to look something like this pump or something like this pump, right? Where it just pumps. Long-term targets, they'll continue to be anywhere between 110 to 120. I'm still looking at that, but overall, I think we've entered a very bullish, very bullish term here. Also to note that we will have a quarterly close in about 3 days. So if we do close above our last higher high, then continue to see a lot of upside, right? So that's what I have for Bitcoin. Mega bullish. I know a lot of people in crypto Twitter were, a bit bearish, but there were some bearish signs, which I completely understand. And then the charts were also looking a little bit iffy. But, for now, we're looking healthy. If there's any black swan events, then, there's nothing we can do about that. But again, I personally don't see that. So before I move to total three, Henry, do you want to add anything to Bitcoin?
Well, I have a question for you. Do you think
Yeah.
we blast through all time high, or do you think we do some consolidation, maybe slight pullback, and then blast through?
So I'm in terms of, I mean, let's just look at this really quick, okay? So let's look at it in the weekly time frame. So we've been in consolidation for the last since March, right? So we've consolidated all of this, I think. So we've almost consolidated about 6 to 7 months, and from what I can see in the charts, at least, right, and the technical analysis, is that it just it wouldn't make sense for it to pull back since we've consolidated for so long, right? That this is just ready to go. So I don't. The only way I could see
The
that,
sellers are exhausted.
exactly, yeah, and we've also short squeezed a lot of people that were shorting. And there's some news about this. There's a shit ton of liquidations happening over the last few days. So the only pullback I personally see is, holding this area, the 71,500, the 70s. But let's just say in the case where you could be right, let's just say we do have a pullback. If that happens, we could maybe see it back to what, 68. Yeah, 68. That's probably as low as I would go, but I see this going through. If I'm looking again at the daily, it's a strong bullish candle, right? It's a strong MACD ripping to the upside. Its RSI is extremely strong. We're already going into these higher levels here. Stochastics is just getting started, so I could see this, as I have my target here to 77,000. Which I do want to add one thing, guys, is that we did put this call on our Telegram. I believe it was yesterday. So I just want to show you guys that we're very active here. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm very doubtful that we're going to see any pullbacks. So this is what we had yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, so we gave you this call yesterday at around 69,000. Currently, at 73,000, 72,000, and our target is 78, right? So, make sure you guys are subscribing to get our calls. We'll talk more about DGen, AAA, so on and so forth. But to stay relevant into Bitcoin, this is what I have. I'm mega bullish. Let's continue to break the daily above 71 today. And I believe we're going higher.
Yeah, I think before you get into alts, I think one thing to keep in mind
Yeah.
that's really important this particular stage of the cycle is BTCD.
Here, give me a second. Hold on. Let me share your screen. Yep, go for it.
So BTCD is the market cap dominance of Bitcoin. How much of the market cap of all of crypto is composed of Bitcoin? So if we look at right now, it's estimated to have a $2.5 trillion market cap, right? So of this 2.5 trillion, Bitcoin makes up 1.4 trillion. And if we put that in a percent wise, it's 60% of the total market cap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why should you care about BTCD? Well, if you're like us and you're like most investors, you probably maybe you have some Bitcoin, but you're mostly in alts. Like the returns are in alts. And in you can see in past cycles when BTCD tops in December 2021 or 2020 and it goes from, its highs down to the lows, this is where this is where you get like a true alt season. Okay.
Absolutely.
And you can see in the past, since September 2022, which I think was when around when Bitcoin made its low. Yeah, December. Okay, so near there, you can see that it's been up only, and especially since March 2023, which keep in mind, Bitcoin has gone sideways essentially since March. Uh, that's when it's made its all time high. But alts have basically been bleeding against Bitcoin. So I actually this alert just went off. I had an alert here around 60 because I think we're getting close to BTCD topping out. And when you get this downtrend like this, that's really when alts kind of start to really print, for lack of a better word. Like that is where most of the money is made.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Alex?
Yo, absolutely. I think you're spot on. I did see a tweet about a few days ago. I can't remember who it was. I wish I had it open, but yeah, essentially it's exactly this. If we go back through history, if you go back throughout like the the weekly candles here on the BTCD, you can see that every time, BTC dominance dumps, then you have all the alts ripping. And, I think this is a great indicator that we should probably be looking at quite often. And I think what this is saying is that BTC is probably going to continue to pump and take the dominance, and then eventually we're going to hit a support, right? I'm sorry, a resistance, and then once we do that or have some bearish tones, and then that's when alts are going to start, exactly what you said, printing.
Yeah, and what I think is in the process of happening, and this is what happened last bull cycle, is when Bitcoin does when Bitcoin starts chatting like it is now, what happens is people get FOMO and they feel like they're gonna miss this right here. They feel like they're gonna miss this, okay? And what happens? They start selling their alts to buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin sucks the liquidity out of everything except the best alts. So what I'm just, and this is what happened last cycle, right? And
Hmm.
the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you see Bitcoin, like alts, yes, some alts are doing pretty well, but most alts are actually underperforming Bitcoin right now, and their liquidity is going to Bitcoin. Now, what does that mean for BTCD? That's how BTCD goes up. Dominance goes up, altcoin market caps go down, and what we basically the more that BTCD pumps, it's like the more gas that it gives the alt market to really uh, win back from Bitcoin, right? So like the last cycle, we bottomed around 40%. So I think maybe between 40 to 50%, we can expect a pullback in Bitcoin. But the reason I bring this up is because you want to sell your Bitcoin and buy alts when you think this is topping out. Now, like you said, like this doesn't give any indication of topping out. If anything, it looks like it's about a breakout to
Exactly.
me.
Yeah.
And
Parabolically.
that what that means is just like usual, crypto Twitter is offsides. They're in alts, and Bitcoin's probably going to go like this.
Yeah.
Bitcoin dominance at least. Now, when you see the first like bearish pullback, I think that this right here is when you ape alts, but you're not going to get the best price like in USD, but you're going to get the best price in Bitcoin. Now, there's certain ones that already started moving, like DOGE. It's up in its pair versus Bitcoin, but just keep an eye on BTCD. Like if it's indicating a top, it might not be this high. I mean, this would be pretty crazy, 65, but it could be just here, like this psychological level, right? But just keep an eye because if it breaks this bullish channel, typically like TA wise, that means it's going to continue going. So I just wanted to bring up like usually what happens around this time is Bitcoin starts chatting, sucks liquidity out of alts, and if you're not paying attention to this, you could be stuck in some underperforming alts.
Yeah. Definitely. But I think that's a good segue to get into the total three here. So give me a second. By the way, check your DM on Twitter. So yeah, so this is what we have had for the last um, few was it a few weeks or yeah, 3 weeks now, actually a month we've been talking about it. We did call this bottom here at about 566 billion, and then from there I did scoop up some alts to also ride this right for total three. Total three is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So this looks a little bit like there's a lot of resistance here. Kind of goes hand in hand with BTC dominance as well. So it should be interesting as to what's going to happen with both uh, BTC dominance and total three, right? So all alts excluding ETH and BTC. But in a way, I don't know. But the charts look to me like it wants to break out of a shoulder, head and shoulder, inverted shoulder, head and shoulder, right? So it should be interesting as to what's going to happen in the next few days. I can't say much. We do have to look at both BTC dominance and the rest of the market and Bitcoin, and there's a lot of influencing factors here. But overall, this one it looks pretty bullish. So let's see how the next few weeks go on total three. Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think it's just important to have like awareness of where liquidity is going to come from. Like after Bitcoin kind of has its first up only period, it's people FOMO in, people sell their alts. That then is going to fuel the next leg on alts when people take profit to Bitcoin on Bitcoin and they want to gamble with their profit. Basically, that's when risk comes back on some of the
Yeah,
alts. So of course, this cycle has been a little different. Like things kind of pump at the same time, but I think you might see like the biggest moves when after Bitcoin has its initial leg, and that's honestly for the best because you want Bitcoin a strong Bitcoin before alt season because that just gives more gas for it to continue. I think if we're done with this overview section, we can start
yeah,
looking at the rest of the
still,
market. So I'm going to share, and what we want to see now is where is the strength, right? Because in crypto, winners keep on winning. So we want to see what's Bitcoin is up 4.5% today. That's crazy. That's
yeah,
a big move on a $1 trillion asset, right?
yeah.
You see my screen, right? Coin
Yep,
Gecko?
yep. We're in.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the top 100 first. So Sui was a big mover first. Popcat, we talked about these last week. Whiff, we didn't talk about. So, and then let's look at over the last week, SPX, Popcat, and Doge. So, like memes continuing to dominate, right? And let's look at the worst performers. Cass. Wow. So this might be an opportunity for Cass.
Yeah,
I think Cass is maybe worth a look because personally, I'm pretty bullish on it fundamentally. But the market, it's bidding stuff like Sui. It's bidding newer, shinier toys at the moment. It looks like Radium is also down. Let's zoom out to the top 300. See if there's anything else we should be looking at. Um, so we have, that's 30 days.
virtual.
Yeah. Well, over the last day, Grass, they just had the airdrop. Looks like people are bullish on that airdrop. Um, POW, AI, Mask Network, I think they're a wallet, Sui, Pepe Coin, Goat. So kind of AI and memes and L1s, usually the usual suspects. And then NPC is down. I think we looked at NPC on Friday, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then Cass. So when I see like Cass, a project that I'm bullish on is one of the top underperformers in the top 300. That seems like to me oversold, or it could be like just the beginning of the end, right? It could be either one. We're gonna look at the
yeah,
chart,
yeah, for sure.
uh, and then just want to do a quick market overview on what sectors are moving today. So in terms of sectors, you have memes dominating, L1s, then L2s. That's interesting. Let's look at the last week. Memes. and L1s. So that kind of tells me what I need to be focusing on, right? Like what we need to be focusing on is
Yeah.
memes, L1s, and over the last month, memes and L1s. So, I think that's what we have been focusing on. Is what the market continues. And again, the winners keep winning. So I think, yeah, we'll probably focus mostly on those, on the L1s that we're bullish on. But I think first we can take a look at CAS. And it's looking pretty, it's been pretty lackluster, right? Like, and I actually had drawn, I think we looked at it maybe a few streams ago. I had drawn this setup and it's now come into the entry. But, I wonder if it's worth longing versus other more, stuff that is performing because we are going against the grain here. You're going against momentum. So, what do you think?
Yeah. So let me share my screen really quick. There's a few scenarios I've drawn out, and we did talk about this. I believe it was 2 weeks ago on one of our live streams, and this is what the chart looked like, and we did have this scenario of us trying to hold the
That
one,
uptrend, right?
two, exactly, and then we did break down. I did write over here 200 on the monthly, right? Which means that it should be 21 on the monthly, right? But interestingly enough, I believe it's the no, it's not. I think it's on the 5 day yeah, on the 3 day. We also have the 21, the 200 MA here, and on the monthly we have the 21 MA. So there is that potential. I did label both of these 1081, which we did bounce off of that, and 9 cents essentially. If we do want to bid, it's either now and it continues, or it's a bust and we come down here. So it would be, interesting to have some cast here, I would say, but or maybe start accumulating and then maybe essentially come back down to here. But let me just zoom in really quick and then I'll answer your question. This is a lot of bullish divergence overall in the 4 hour time frame. It's a pretty big time frame, right? Bullish divergence is when the price is going down, 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 but the RSI is going higher, 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 right? So we do see a lot of bullish divergence on the 4 hour, which in a way kind of makes me bullish short term. But I'd still have to see, what would happen in the bigger time frames. But yeah, I mean, this is an area I would probably bid between here and here. I would have a 16% stop loss, right, if we continue to dump. But I think this is a great, really, really good support. Now, to answer your question, is it better to focus on this or to the ones that are performing? I think right now it's probably good to focus on the ones that are performing, but it's also not a bad idea to continue to keep an eye on this one. And by that, I mean like always looking at it, having alerts, having alerts on those stochastics, everything, right? So if you're doing some thorough analysis, do a great job at really monitoring it. This one, but to me, this honestly looks like a W pattern, which if you turn it upside down, it looks like an M pattern, right? And it looks like it has topped off, and it wants to come back down, right? So this looks like the blow off top, and then it wants to come back down. But essentially, this to me kind of does look bullish to potentially maybe see, um, 14 cents again soon. And then in this, we could potentially be forming a shoulder head and possibly like a right shoulder before we continue to rip. That's the bullish scenario. But then the other scenario you just said is, what if this is just like the end of the coin, right? What if we're just going to continue to go downtrend?
Yeah,
So it's a tough one, but I wouldn't just completely dismiss it. I definitely keep an eye out on this one, monitor it, because once it has a reversal, it's probably going to rip really hard. But going back to what you had asked, would you focus on this or L1's performing? And I would say L1's performing. Yeah.
yeah. But if you've done your research and you're bullish on CAS,
Hmm.
like I am,
Hmm.
unless I haven't looked into it in the last couple of weeks, maybe something new came out. I have
Hmm.
to catch up. But one thing I want to look at it against
Yeah.
is versus Bitcoin because, like I said, where Bitcoin B is going up, you really should only be buying pairs that are gonna outperform Bitcoin.
Ooh.
So if we look at it versus Bitcoin, it's a whole different story, right? And we have to keep in mind
Yeah.
this is one of the most bullish coins of the cycle. Um, so a couple of things here, like I've got the monthly open marked out here, and in past streams I've said once you get below the monthly open, it's pretty bearish in general, and we're gonna take a deep dive on this. So like I want to look at this is called the TD sequential. Basically, 9 counts are bullish, or when you should buy. Uh, when usually the 9 count is when the trend reverses. So you can see on the 5 day we're at a 9 count, which could be a potential trend reversal. It's obviously failed before. Uh, but I think like big picture, this is just one big range, right? And you can see at least when this price action starts. I should probably get a maybe I should do an older price action, but CAS BTC.
Try KuCoin, see if they have it. No, I
No,
think the other one's the
yeah, but I mean it gives us enough to go off, and it's one. It looks like one big range, right? So this, if you are bullish on like the fundamentals, maybe there's some catalyst coming up. This would not be a good bad spot to take a punt at all, because your downside is basically capped to here, and I think basically what how I would play this, I would start DCAing, or I'd just watch it like you said, and it's clearly like really bearish, like on all the time frames. It's in a bear trend, but at some point, I think if like they have some bullish stuff come out, I could see this like reversing at some point. Like it's been a pretty aggressive sell off, right?
yeah.
Versus Bitcoin, and again, it was one of the top performing coins coming out of the bear market. So I think this could be a decent spot to take a trade versus Bitcoin. Um, and maybe it doesn't even get this low. I think like maybe accumulate around here, and really you're doing along from like here, stopped out at the Pico low. You're risking 15% drawdown versus Bitcoin for maybe. I mean, I think you target the mid range and then you target the top of the range if it continues to look bullish. So I'd target like here. So that's a pretty good risk reward, 4 to like almost 5 to 1,
Yeah.
and it just looks like it's at the bottom of a range, one big range. So to me, again, this is why you have to look at the Bitcoin pairs. Is once you see some strength or at least some signs of life here, that the bleeding is kind of done. The sellers, everyone that was going to capitulate already has. I'd look for like a reversal like this, and then maybe a higher low and a breakout on that. So keep an eye on CAS BTC. The other big performer today was Sui, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's a masterpiece there.
This is Sui. Yeah, Sui. Again, we had talked about this one being one of the leaders in past streams, and pullbacks on the leaders are typically good times to enter, and it doesn't look like this trend is reversing anytime soon. It was just kind of like a retest of the bullish trend. So definitely looking super
Yeah.
bullish on the longer time frames. And yeah, it looks like could be potentially breaking out here. Looks super
Yeah.
bullish. Did you want to add anything to this one?
Yeah, I did actually because I just want to, I just want to make sure that people are following our stream and, they're, we did give them a target of where to pick up a Sui, right? And we did give everyone the target of like 164, right? And I'll explain to you why I said 164 a while back. It's because we were making this sort of bearish flag, right? We had a flag here, and if you take the the pull from the top to the bottom, right? We do get this target here, and that's exactly where we went the first time, right? On that specific dump on Friday, we got there. I did scoop some up around 666, rode it up to here, then sold it. And then when it came back down, I was very uncertain what was going to happen. So it was a little bit tricky. It was a tricky trade because at this point I had added most of those profits into AAA. ACAT, right? The meme.
Which
But
you're just longing your long there. You're just longing
yeah,
Sui on leverage.
well, yeah. Well, essentially, AAA ended up holding a double bottom, and then it ripped. So I made some money there on that double bottom. And when it dumped, I just snagged it afterwards, right? But essentially, we were continuing to respect this flag that we had talked about 2 weeks ago, right? Bounce, bounce, bounce. We tried here, we couldn't do it. Bounce here, another bounce, and then we ripped. So what's happening right now is, we broke out of this, falling wedge or this trend. Now, what I'm expecting to see is a retest around 191, right? And it would be very important for us to hold this region here, 191 to essentially all of this and above. That would make me, again, very, very bullish in general. And we do have our 21 MA here. So, we have we broke out of resistance into support. It is crucial for us to hold here. And, what I can see out of this one in the bullish scenario, again, it's like a shoulder, head, and shoulder. Probably come down to here. And then from there, we're off to Valhalla with Sui, and with my targets of Sui being short term, I'm looking at 272. A little long term, I'm looking at 356. And when that scenario that you were talking about, Henry, where Bitcoin dominance starts dumping, just imagine what's going to happen to Sui, right? So that should be something to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's what I have for Sui.
Yeah, I think I just want to take a quick look at it versus Bitcoin
Yeah, go for it.
because I did notice that. You see my screen?
Yep.
I did notice, like I mentioned, some coins will just run with Bitcoin. Like some coins, you've gotten the
Yes.
best price,
Yeah.
and Sui, I think, is a candidate for potentially doing that. And I'll show you why. Basically, it's been in this W range, right? Like now bottom twice, then stopped out people here, went bullish again, top of the range, rejected at resistance. Now, what the pullback to me is really interesting because I had this fib drawn out from the last impulse to the top, and what do you notice about where it stopped? It stopped right at the point 0.5 of the fib, which is pretty crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
people say TA is just astrology for men, but you can't deny that it works. So
Yeah.
if it works, don't question it. And it bounced on the point 0.5, which if you don't know, maybe you're a beginner. Above point 0.5 bullish, below bearish. And the fact that it bounced, and it wasn't just a regular bounce, like this was like a strong bid, strong wick, right?
Yeah.
That to me tells me that we're now in the upper part of the range, targeting like basically any pullbacks is you're targeting the top of the range, which tells me, and this is versus Bitcoin, which tells me that Sui could be one of the few ones that does outperform Bitcoin. Um, so yeah, definitely, and this, how do we make money with this, right? You can either be long Sui or you could be long meme coins on Sui. And I think we both agree that the meme coins on Sui, especially when you think about the money flows, because
Excellent. Yeah.
money flows dictate everything. And where attention goes, money flows. Price drives attention. So if Sui's pumping, the next thing people are going to want to do is bridge to Sui and bid meme coins. That's just how the degen brain works. That's how my brain works. That's what the market does. And you have 900 million bridged over to Sui in the last 3 months. Okay,
Jesus.
in the last month came in 300 million. So they're getting like 300 million per month. Last week, 80 million. So there's a lot of new money bridging from Sui from these other ecosystems, primarily ETH. And what does this tell you? Like people want to gamble on Sui. So Sui is the casino chip. And if you think about how L1s win, when people want to join, when you want to enter the Sui casino, you got to buy Sui, and you have to pay. Uh, you buy the Sui on a centralized exchange. That brings the price up, and the aggregate demand of that is what brings this outperformance versus Bitcoin. And then these flows go on to bid stuff on chain. stuff like, I think we were early on this call. I know I was early on buying, but I feel like AAA cat, it's got the makings of greatness to me. Uh, and we had a strong, it's a strong sell off with a strong reversal. Um, so I think we broke this downtrend. We'll probably range. That's what I feel like is. But it just depends on Sui. But I'm wondering how this compares to the rest of the memes here,
Yeah,
because
so
I think you were
go to the top performers, and the top performer in the ecosystem for Sui is AAA. Hippo, FUD, they're not performing as good as AAA. So
in. Well, let's look at the volume, right? So 88%. It's
top performer, yeah.
6 in volume and up 88%. So there's not much volume yet here on Sui.
Yeah, but
Uh,
imagine those flows that you just see. I didn't realize that ETH had so many bridges onto Sui. Imagine those ETH whales coming into Sui ecosystem as bidding a cat, or a hippo, whatever.
well, if you think about the mentality again. Like, you have to put yourself ahead of the market. So if you're bridging over to Sui, are you going to buy the $80 million meme, or are you going to go for a 10x on the AAA, like on a smaller lower cap meme? Like, your attention. So the flows come first, right? Then they want to go where there's liquidity, where there's volume, and there's uh, volatility. And they're going to do the same thing that I just did, rank by volume, and they're going to see Hippo is at 80 million. If I'm going to bet on an $80 million meme, I don't know if I'm going to pick Sui to do it. I mean, maybe if you think this goes to a billion, uh, doesn't look bad actually, but it doesn't look like it started its reversal yet. Or you could bet on AAA cat, and yeah, this thing.
I mean, look at that. Come on. Like, what?
Yeah, it looks like you're kind of risk reward again, right? I think your downside's probably capped here, 5 mil. And if you think this could go to 50, if you think this goes to 40 mil, what's the risk reward there? It's 4 to 1. Um, yeah, I mean, I think this has the makings of really being a leader on Sui. That's what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
especially on the fact that it's like on the most bullish day. You got to remember we started top down. Bitcoin first. Bitcoin looks bullish. Then Sui was a top gainer, right? That's what we saw here. Then we saw flows coming into Sui. Then what is like put the pieces together. Flows came into Sui. What did they bid? They bid AAA. And Alex and I, in the time we've been in the market, we have seen winners keep winning. That's like, I think GCR tweeted that you have to think of your coins as like prize fighters. Are you gonna bet that the guy that keeps losing is gonna finally win one, or are you just gonna bet that the guy that's undefeated is gonna remain undefeated? That's how you have to view these coins. So yeah, I mean AAA. There's not much to say about it other than it looks super bullish. I mean, I guess like if you're looking for an entry, it's kind of already breaking structure. I don't know if it gets a pullback, but if it does, I think anywhere below 10 mil, I think is a gift. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I echo your play, but let me just give the scenarios here. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. But I echo what you said exactly. I've had it in this flag, right? And this is, I mean, I really like this price action, right? Slowly made higher, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. We did bottom out around the Fibonacci 786 and a little below. So I had these two lines, and I started thinking about bidding here at the blue, but I did ride this pump. I saw weakness, and I said, I'm getting out. Eventually, we ended up seeing some bullish divergence here on the 4 hour, which I really liked. But moving on, like make sure you guys are going to our Telegram, right? We're giving you guys these calls live, right, before the rip. So make sure you're following and you're going to our Telegram or Twitter, so on and so forth. But anyway, so I ended up picking this one up. I believe it was Friday, right? So I was like, all right, and then did another retest. I added a bit more there, and then we ripped. Same thing with what you said, anywhere like we have strong support and resistance, right, on this region between 11 to 12, right? And like you said, you get lucky if you get 10, right? So personally, it's not financial advice, but I'm personally going to add, I'm going to start moving some of my bags and I'm going to double down on this one because this is a winner, right? I mean, essentially what we just saw today or over the last 2 days was a meme coin on Sui go from bottom to top in a day. This is October. This was yesterday. From what is it? From 144% gain in one day, as Sui did what a 22% to like 28% gain, right? So this is a winner, right? And I will be adding around this area again. I'll double down. There is that potential that we could go down to, you know, this region here, but honestly, at this point, I don't really care how low we go. I'll continue to add every time we continue to dip. This is a winner long term. Peak bull run. My targets for this scenario, I'm looking at about a 33 million market cap, right? Because that's what the flag is telling me, right? You have this flag from Impulse, and where are we going to go? That's what it's telling me, all right? And let's just say that Sui does become mega bullish and we see $10, and I expect this to go to 100 million, right? So this is that leverage play for Sui. Again, I'm going to voice this as Henry and I have said this in the past throughout our streams. Triple A cat is the pop cat of Soul. So that's all I got, man. I don't know how much more I can shill this, but it's there.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is this thing is doing what it's supposed to. It's acting like leverage Sui. So Sui went down 20%. This thing went down 60%, 70%. That is normal in meme coins. And to me, it's more bullish that it went down 70% and survived than it would have been that it just continued straight up because the holders need to be tested. People that don't have conviction need to sell out and be replaced with people that do. And that's how you get these long term moves. So seeing all the right things in AAA cat, obviously it's still early, it's still high risk, but high risk, high reward for sure. One
Exactly.
of the best asymmetric opportunities I think we see in the market.
Yeah.
So let's continue seeing what else is out there. I think the main theme we identified is L1s and memes, right?
Yeah.
Do you see
Good.
my screen?
Yep. We're good.
So we could even dive deeper on this filter of just look at L1s. Oh, if we look at daily performance, Sui's on top. Aptos is another one, and say, and these are three that we've been talking about in past streams, right? As we've identified them as the new winners, just like last cycle, it was AVAX, Luna, and Solana. The L1 trade just works. Like I won't go into the fat protocols thesis, but basically it just says that the underlying infrastructure accrues more value than apps, and that's why the L1 trade works. And I think out of all theses in crypto, that's been the one that made people the most money, at least from a trade perspective. And we can let's look at the last week. Sol is still outperforming over the last week, and then Sui second, and that's interesting. Tron is third. You look at the 2 week. Sol up big, obviously because of the AI hype, and Tron. So that's interesting that Tron is one of the stronger ones because Tron had its own meme coin season earlier, and then
Yeah.
Aptos is outperforming over the monthly. So maybe we can take a quick look at Aptos. But before we go into Aptos, I want to look at because Tron is kind of like weirdly outperforming. I don't know why. Maybe because everything else was so bad.
Yeah.
I think Sundog, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So Sundog is the top meme on Tron, and Justin Sun has put his weight behind it. I'm pretty sure he's a billionaire, so he's not going to let this thing die. And I mean, it doesn't look great. It looks like it really shook people out.
Do you want to pull a fib from the start, see where it's at right now?
Yeah, it's got that weird wick, but you could probably just ignore that. Maybe to here.
So it's on the 618 right now. Could maybe dump a little bit, but
Yeah, I mean this. I think doesn't look bullish yet, but some news comes out, or this starts maybe ranging or making higher highs and lows. Looks decent, but just one to keep an eye on if Tron's showing strength,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I want to see what memes. We'll look at Aptos in a second, but I want to see which memes are outperforming today. Myro, Doge, Floki. Let's look at the last week. Doge is really outperforming everything. Wow,
Yeah.
wow, look at that, 50% over the last
Monster.
2 weeks on
Monster.
and this is like here's another point I want to make. Like people always try to bid the lowest market cap, thinking that it's going to make the most money, but just betting on winners is what makes the most money. Like Doge, 50% of 50% on a what's the market cap? Like 20 billion.
Something
Uh,
crazy like that.
and Doge is kind of an L1 and and meme if you think about it.
Right? 24
Yeah,
bill or 25 almost 25 today it hit 25 billion market cap.
yeah, that's crazy. It added over 10 billion over the last 2 weeks,
Yeah.
or
And
yeah,
guys,
like
think about it
5.
like this isn't a surprise because if you really think about it, Doji is on every single centralized exchange, maybe decentral. I don't know if it's on many decentralized exchanges, but it's also on Robinhood, right? It's accepted by Robinhood, so it's an easy buy, really.
Yeah, but I mean, we were talking about one of our first streams was talking about how we were bullish Doge, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, I got a little greedy on the entry. I feel like I don't want to bid it here because it's. I mean, but maybe I should because it's just ripping so hard. But I remember. You remember when I drew this? I think this was one of the first streams I drew here, and
yeah, yeah,
it kind of just did this, but way faster than I expected it to.
yeah.
Uh,
It
let's
was
take a
strong. Like it was strong bullish divergence there. The breakout was ready for that.
now Aptos. Maybe take a look at Aptos BTC, but Aptos is not as strong as Sui, which could be an opportunity, right?
Hmm.
Um, but so sticking to the Doge theme, I know we were looking at this Department of Government Efficiency, and one of the big reasons why Doge is outperforming so hard is because Elon says he's going to be the head of the Doge department, basically the Department of Government Efficiency. Uh, what do you think of this one on ETH, Alex? Do you think this could go to half a billion or billion?
Yeah, it's funny, just, I'm going to go back again. We did talk about Doge about 3 weeks ago, right? And we caught this one, right, when we talked about it for the first time at about 17 million market cap. It did dip to 10
Wow.
million. Yeah, exactly. It did dip to 10 million, and I kind of lost track for it. I didn't have any.
Yeah, I forgot about it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
my signal's on, and then next thing I see, it's a 30 mil. But it continued. But, honestly, anything themed, and I guess this is where I want to kind of also talk about Doge here, Elon Musk, and then Trump, right? It's very
Yeah,
interesting because
because
we
elections
have
next week. This is
exactly,
where it's going to be
exactly.
all over the news cycle.
So this is getting a bid as it should, right? It's gonna, we have the elections. If they win, then this is gonna continue to rip, I
Yeah,
think. But it could also be like a rip up until November 4th and then a sell off November 5th, right? Because whatever. But polls say that Trump is going to win, and everybody's leaning on Trump, winning this election. But
and
overall, I think
that
good,
is directly related to how hard Bitcoin is ripping right now. It's because
right?
Trump's odds keep getting better.
Exactly. And for this one, I mean, what are we, 63? I could see this one definitely, reaching maybe like that 200 level minimum. And then up, above that, I couldn't tell you. But I mean, a 4x from here, yeah, like a 3.3x from here is definitely doable.
Yeah. I think in terms of entry, it's tough to buy like a green candle like this. I think what you want to see on an extremely bullish coin like this is like some sell off, some crazy sell off like that, like 30% dip, 50% dip. You you just have to kind of start positioning, maybe DCAing, but it just looks extremely bullish. I mean, it doesn't look like it wants to come back.
Exactly, which then brings me kind of, let's just kind of go off on this one. Let me share my screen really quick. So this is what Henry's presenting right now is Doji on ETH, and one of the ones that I found earlier today was uh, Doge, but on Sol, right? So this is a fresh one. It came out today. It does have a potential. We've been holding up at a 1 million market cap throughout the day, right? So I've been monitoring this one. I had an early entry, like around 400 million market cap. But it's
400K, right?
what's that?
400K market cap.
Yeah, I bid in at around 400K market cap. Nothing too big because I'll actually just kind of risk it. I had some flops where they didn't do anything, but this one looks like it stayed strong, and we're looking to see higher highs. But this is where my thesis is going.
Yeah, this looks really good.
Yeah, this is where my thesis is going. Where I'm going with this one, right? So we're looking at Doji here. We just looked at Doji on ETH. This is Doji on Sol. Okay, we have Sol degenerates. So I'm pretty bullish on it. But one thing I do want to talk about is Mudang, right? And it could be the same play. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be, right? So quickly, if we look at Mudang on Sol, this is at a 214 million market cap. Okay, which also, by the way, we did give you this call on our we have the setup here. We did talk about this before, and we did give you this call on our Telegram, right? So from our call, you ended up making it about a 3x on that one, and this is probably flagging to continue more, right? But interestingly enough, let's look at the timeline. This one peaked at around September 28th of 2024, right? So about a month ago. And then if we look at Mudang on ETH, let's see where, ETH. This one came out a month ago. But this one was
Wow, it's
a
like 30 mil.
yeah, but think about it. This one was a lagger. This one just pumped in October,
Yeah.
right? This one had a bid in October that ended up going to Jesus. I mean, let's just look at in terms of market cap. This one hit 115 million market cap, and about
Wow.
this was at a 2 million market cap, ended up peaking at about 112 million market cap. So going back to what I'm trying to say, that's the thesis I'm putting out for both Doji on ETH and Doji on Sol, right? So it's it's something to keep an eye out on. It's not like it will happen. I'm not saying that it will. It is a risky play, but I do like that risky play in general. So I am pretty bullish on this one. I did send this one out on the Telegram group. So make sure you guys to once again subscribe, and you'll get our live calls. But anyway, yeah, I'm pretty bullish on this one. The flag's holding up just fine. If we readjust this a little bit, I mean, look, we're just making a flag, and this one essentially is gonna explode. It says the holders at a 608, but essentially, if you do go to Dex Screener, they have a better number there. So this is Doge on Sol. And we have approximately about 3,100 holders. I kept seeing this one rise from 1,100 just earlier today to about the 3,100, and but essentially just watch this one catch a bid. It wouldn't surprise me if this gets to 10 million. Not financial advice, but this is gearing up with the elections coming up, with this one getting more, more. In a day they already have 1,186 followers. So it's something to keep an eye out on. Again, not financial advice, risky play. But yeah, that's for Doge.
Yeah, I just bought some more.
Now this guy. So you've been aping?
Yeah, because of your thesis, and it just looks, it has all the right ingredients, the right ticker, the right narrative, the right chain.
and the
I
right
think
time, right?
as long as they don't rug, this should be a runner. And at 1 million, I think it's a great, again, highly risky but good risk reward bet that it goes to 10, even higher. I could see it going higher too.
So
So
how much did you ape?
not much right now because
All
I'm
right,
kind of aping the top, just a
yeah.
couple sold, but
So one of the
I'm
things that
gonna I'll probably add more. Is there another Doge though? Did you check if there's another Doge on Sol?
so yes, but before we move on, let me just show you this really quick. What I really like about Photon, which you share this with me, everything looks pretty clean here, right? There's no red flags, and I'll be frank with all of you guys. I did get rugged on Act, and there were a lot of red flags, so I lost a shit ton there. But this is really really good to check these warnings, right? I think what do you call it? I think the other one has it, but I usually use Photon. Photon's really quick; it'll give you the important information, right? And so I would just, and this, I think this one has a more, like, if you think of this has more of an updated version of the amount of holders, I think. So that's very interesting. Top holder is about 2%, and the rest is on radium. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's not terrible. It's not terrible in terms
It's
of
not.
distribution.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a risky play, but it's one that I'm willing to risk it for the biscuit. So, um,
And then you said there are other Doges on Sol.
yeah, there was another one that I saw. I believe it was this one here.
Well, there's two, or is that the same one? There's one on.
No, yeah, this one's the same one. These are the same. Then no, there wasn't. There was just this. Let's just do Department of it. Yeah, this is ETH. Yeah, no, this is the only one in the first one actually. Yep,
Yeah, that's pretty bullish.
yep,
I think
yep.
I
Bullish on
think
that
you
one.
you might have. I think you found a gem here.
Yeah, hopefully, we'll see. We'll see in the next coming days. But yeah, Henry, let me just continue with this one as we're talking about the different types of Doge and then Trump, right? So we have a few things that I want to talk about is Tremp on Solana, which has about 35,000 holders and has been, is a current 40 million market cap, right? We did also post this one on our Telegram, but I was bidding around here, right around the 10 cent, 14 cent, or whatever. We had a nice little pump to 44, and right now we did hit support today, right? So, and I'm going to ask you for your opinion here, Henry, but maybe we could probably retest here to get another entry, or this might be it, and then we just continue, to go higher because there is about a week left for to know the elections, but. There's one to keep an eye on. If I'm not sure what it's going to do. It to me, this is something fairly new. I don't think we had Politify in the last bull run, right? So I don't know how price action would act. What do you think? Do you think that this is kind of like a sell off as we get closer to the election, or do you think it's a pump? Like, what's your take on this?
I think you just have to keep an eye on it. I think it could continue pumping into the election. I think maybe when the election is confirmed, when Trump confirms his win, if the prices run up into that, you could see some profit taking, or it might get front run. So,
Yeah,
but in terms of like now, I think it's there's still juice in this type of
yeah,
trade.
and
It's all
then
the
then
same trade. Think about it: Bitcoin, Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, Trump, Trump.
yeah, Trump
It's
Trump
all
on
just more eyeballs going to Trump, his win, what it means for crypto, and degens doing what they do, aping into
it.
stuff that goes up when he gets more attention.
and,
It's
and,
all
and
the same trade.
Exactly, and now, and again, this is going to lead to another segue. 47, right, which is our next 47th president, and this is exactly what happened. And I saw 47, and I was I was a little pissed off just because
This thing pulled back though. I saw this like 2 hours ago and it was at 15 million.
yeah, this one was really, and this is another thing to for everybody that likes to ape into coins. Be careful. Look at that. There is no market structure, and this is why I'm not a big fan of things that aren't forming structure enough. But it
Yeah,
seems like this one, I believe that what happened on some of these pullbacks here is people probably selling Trump for this specific Trump, right? So that could be, and this is another thing I wanted to talk about, right? Like there's so many Trumps on almost all ecosystems, on Sui ecosystem, on ETH here. So it's just something for everybody to be careful if you're going to ape on something like this that has multiple, uh, multiple coins for that specific thing, right? There was like AI Trump or some shit. So just, in general, everyone just be careful. But yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind on in general for Trump and Tramp. Let's look at Trump really quick on ETH.
Yeah,
Um,
and just while you're pulling that up, I think
yeah.
you
Mhm.
asked about when the juice maybe runs out of the trade. I think for most, like after the election, one coin I could see continuing to pump is actually this one. And
The ETH Trump.
yeah, because it's the biggest, because it's got the most mind share, I could see Trump becoming president. You're gonna constantly get headlines now and news stories about Trump. And, you know, a meme coin about the crypto, a guy that calls himself the crypto president, I feel like that is undervalued at the current market cap.
That's very interesting.
And I think while the other ones could be short term, this one feels more like a long term, especially because it
Mhm.
hasn't run much. Now, if it 5x's between now and the election, yeah, sure, the juice is gone. But what's the old all time high?
So the all time high from now to this one went all the way out to $18 is about a 351, right?
So like
But
900 million.
yeah, so the risk reward on Tramp is actually a lot higher because it's still a 8x from the top from the bottom to the top. And let's just one thing I do want to caveat about Tramp is that remember Joe was it Joe Biden,
Yeah,
right? Right. Remember Bowden did, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if Tramp did that because Tramp is also on Coinex, it's on MEXC, and I can't remember what else it's on. And so is this Trump, this mag that is also on other exchanges, right? So those two are like the biggest ones that are also in exchanges. So there is some staying power, right? To an extent for both. But yeah, I mean it'd be interesting to see how how Sol Trump is going to perform, and then how MAGA Trump on ETH is going to perform, both also on exchanges, right? So I mean, I like what you just said. Like, he is a crypto president. It could be that this one stays like as a relevant coin for maybe his term, maybe, right?
yeah,
So that's an interesting perspective. But that's what I want to talk about in general with Doji or different Dojis and then our Trumps, and then I'll hand it back to you.
yeah. I think we're coming up on an hour here, so maybe we'll do one more. Um, I'll go ahead and share my screen.
You're not
Um,
sharing yet.
and I think the main. Okay, let me know when it comes up.
All right.
Yeah, I think sticking with like the theme of memes and L1s, I think we have a pretty good thesis of like where momentum is going, like new L1s, election memes. I feel like AI memes had their run and it's cooled off a bit, but I do think they are going to be long term outperformers. Um, but we can cover those in a later show. One other meme that I like, and it's kind of around a similar market cap to Doge on ETH, is this one, Book of Ethereum. Have you looked into these guys,
Yeah,
Alex?
yeah, yeah. I saw this one. This one's looking at like a very strong coin.
Yeah, this is one of the. I mean, it's a really bullish chart. Like it's it had its parabolic run. It's consolidating. I think, and then it tested. This would have been great entries up the point 0.5. I don't know if it comes down again, but it's showing signs to me to be a future winner. Um, and I think this flag looks really, really bullish.
Yeah, I would say if ETH gets a bid to some interesting highs, then I think this is going to run to like half a mil at least. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I mean that's a good point. Like it's been doing this with ETH kind of not doing anything,
Yeah,
and it's just like a play on like you know just like the history of ETH, like kind of like the cult of ETH. It's going on that theme of like culty stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And if we look at the Twitter, it looks like I got signed out on this one, but not that many followers, right? Like looks pretty organic, like 3,000 followers.
yeah.
Uh,
What the holder count?
Holder count is
4,000 for yeah, that's still pretty bullish.
yeah. So it's been slowly grinding up. I mean, up until recently when it went on its big run, but it's been around since May. So it's really, the team hasn't rugged, and all their posts are like in this style of like, "Oh, faithful believers, heed the call," like doing something different. Like, and I think ETH has been pretty lackluster, to put it
Yeah,
lightly. It's been basically dead. Uh, but I have seen some of the better traders, some of the more sharp guys on crypto Twitter start to get bullish on ETH. I think it's tough to get bullish on ETH, but if we even get like some sort of life signs of life like that, something like a book of ETH, like a beta, pure beta to ETH, could go pretty wild. So I think my near term target's above $1.
for that one. Yeah, that yeah, I could see that. That's an easy 1x.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's the last one I wanted to cover. I
yeah,
think that those are the main themes we're seeing.
yeah. So
L1s,
there
memes.
is one last one I do want to share. I know on Twitter it was I got a lot of interest, and it's DGen, right? So for DGen, again on that dip on Friday, I came in and I said, you know what, I'm aping. Ended up aping, got up like a nice 50% on that one. I mean, come on, it's DGen is culture, right? We're all degenerates that we're in crypto because we are degenerates, right? So overall, pretty bullish. Short term, I'm looking at it about maybe like a 1.5x, but if we I don't know if Coinbase in some way maybe has like crazy news or maybe like they end up having like an airdrop, right? For all the holders. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me for this to see it back. I don't know if it could go back to its all time high, but from where we are now to its all time high, it's about a 8 to 9x, right? So it's something to just keep an eye out on, and it's got a big cult community. It's not just like any coin. So I know I've heard this thing float around of where uh, DGen could be the bunk essentially, right, for Coinbase, right? Which it's not too far fetched. I
Not a
mean,
bad thesis.
yeah, I mean, this one did reach 1 billion market cap, right? And I scooped it up at around 60 million. We just got to the lowest at 60 million. So even then, like you'd still make a nice 5x, right, if we get higher. But it would be interesting to see what Coinbase is going to do to become relevant again, because I think that a lot of people have kind of forgotten about Base. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, base is another one that's getting a lot of flows. I think most people are betting on Brett as their
Right, that's right.
exposure to base and that growth, but DGen as well. It seems like they're putting out different products, and I know they had their own DGen ecosystem for meme coins as well. So, I mean, I'd have to look up what's going on in terms of the project, but like off the chart, it looks pretty bullish.
Yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. Then that's all we got. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered a lot. There's a lot of opportunity in the market. There's a lot to keep up with. So Alex and I are looking into this all day, and you can just tune in, and we're basically bringing you guys the best of the best, the most bullish opportunities we're seeing to make money. So now that Bitcoin's pushing the all-time high, it's just going to be it's time to grind and lock in basically, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities to make money.
Yeah, yeah. We have one last question as we're finishing. Our question is, what is the Solana of this cycle from Jaime Floor?
Yeah. A lot of people were saying it could be Sui, right? Like we went through I mean, almost a billion in flows in the last 3 months is no joke. And they have the fast tech. They have, that's they have the right ingredients to potentially be the next Solana. Are we going to see Solana like gains? I don't think that's possible anymore, just because of the high market cap it came out at. But in terms of like opportunities like Solana in the ecosystem, like Solana had in December and January and February, I think Sui's the best candidate for those types of gains, like 100x gains in the ecosystem. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Just going back to earlier, it's you know, as you shared the flows, and I mean, if you want to share the flows again, you can. But I think that speaks on its own. And the way people bid yesterday, we went from like 159 all the way to 200 and $2.08. And what is the market cap of this? It's like in the billions, right? And for it to add 30%, in a day is it shows a lot of strength. And as we were going through our top performers, Sui was one of the top performers, right? In the last 24 hours to 7 days, right? And so it's, people aren't fading on this. If we see the flows, I don't know if you want to share that, Henry, but if you want, let me know. The flows they're not lying. So we have ETH flows going into Sui, right? And that's pretty huge. So I echo that with you. I think this one is probably our soul of this cycle. But to see maybe some crazy gains like Solana, I honestly don't know. Sui could probably do maybe like at most maybe 10x. Then that's pushing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, from a ecosystem perspective, probably Sui, and we have to keep in mind like Sui was the first new L1 to make a new all-time high. So it showed early strength, and it made an all-time high before all the other L1s, right? So what does that tell you? Is that people are the most bullish on Sui. You see my screen?
Yeah. No, I see it. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. So and not only that, let's look at flows year to date. Uh, you got 2.5 billion
Jeez.
into Sui. So uh, this isn't that's on par with like up there with Solana and Base and some of the ecosystems that are seeing like the most action. But I think it's probably between Sui and maybe Tau also. But I think Tau, I was potentially looking at picking that one up, but I think some of its thunder got stolen by Goat. But Tau, you know, I think from the if you count like from the bear market, it's seen similar gains to what Solo did last cycle. So I think those are my top two picks. Is like the next Solo is like Sui and then Tau. Now, but again, Tau has some competition from AI meme coins, right? And it's not the only game in town in terms of getting exposed to crypto AI. But I think that about covers everything, right, Alex?
Yeah. I think that was good. Feel free to ask us any more questions if there are any questions left. But other than that, that's a wrap, I think.
Yeah, and we'll be doing more live streams this week. And yeah, I think even if Bitcoin pulls back, it just looks like it wants to go to new all-time high. And
Yeah,
when
I mean, just as a really last update, I mean, we're going to see all-time high, in my opinion, tonight. Look at that. I mean, it's uncanny, right? We were talking about it, when we started the stream. This is our support region. What happens? We're bouncing off of that support, and it looks like it wants to continue now, right? What are we? We are about 1,300 away from all-time high. So, yeah,
yeah, it
it's
could happen as soon as tonight.
exactly tonight. I'm pretty sure are we streaming again Thursday, right?
Yeah, and that actually reminds me, like, retail isn't even here. Like, not, I mean, of course we're retail, like, but the people that are here in crypto are people that already knew about it. New entrants come when the headlines come out. Bitcoin all time high, Bitcoin at 80K, Bitcoin at 90K. That's when the FOMO kicks in, and that's when you see some crazy things happening in the market. So that's why we're doing this analysis of what are the ecosystems that are going to pop off. We buy those now before that wave comes in. So that's the plan.
Yeah. All right. That was good. All right, guys. Have a good day. Make sure to to subscribe, like, and join our